In the meantime, Deresa had reached his spot. He wanted to go onto the rock in the middle of the river. The two children accompanied him. But Archer continued his way until he reached and sat on the big rock. Rembang, walking along the bank of this side of the river, was reaching his fishing ground. In the meantime, Deresa left his fishing net with his two friends and began to descend down the bank of the river. After throwing the net to Deresa, the two children left him. Deresa immediately tied the string around his right wrist and then started to climb the rock. Deresa was having difficulties climbing the rock, for the current was strong, making the rock wet and very slippery. At that very moment, Deresa saw the arrival of the three youths at the resting place. All of them saw Deresa trying to climb the wet rock. After passing the resting place, Langchang turned around to face the river. There he saw Deresa began to swim towards his side of the river. Archer, who had been watching every movement of Deresa, also saw the arrival of the three youths. Then the passing of the two children made him turn to watch them. The children eventually stopped to fish at a nearby spot. After that, Archer's attention was on Rembang's fishing. While almost all eyes were turned to Rembang's fishing, Langchang saw Deresa began to swim towards his side of the river. Deresa went into the water and then surfaced again with the fishing net still around his right shoulder. Then he saw Deresa going into the water again. He thought that Deresa was playing in the water. At that very moment, there was some commotion upstream, and he turned around to see what was happening. Then he realized that Rembang's net was caught in the river. When all attention was drawn to Rembang's fishing, Deresa began to swim towards the river bank. He was carried away by the strong current. He immediately found himself underwater and was dragged down by the fishing net. He tried to surface, but the string around his wrist pulled him downwards. With both hands, he tried to dislodge the net from the bottom of the river, but was unsuccessful. Then he was overcome by unconsciousness. We arrived at the resting place about a minute after the three youths, namely Paka, Saham, and Langchang. On our arrival, the three youths turned around And Paka, realizing that Deresa was not on the rock, then asked us, "Where's Deresa?" We looked, but Deresa was nowhere to be found. We spent a moment looking for Deresa. Meanwhile, Paka, thinking that Deresa had joined the two children, once again turned his attention to Rembang's fishing. We rested for a while. We were having a good rest and enjoying ourselves. And after a few minutes, we suddenly heard Saham shouting, "Where's Deresa? Where's Deresa?" The moment we looked upstream, we found Saham, Langjang, and Paka discussing. Then Saham stood up, pointing to the place where Deresa was. They were confused, and Saham tried to get help from Rembang and Archer, but they were of no help. Then Langjang stood up and reconfirmed to them that he definitely saw Deresa going down under the water near the rock. That was the last he saw of him.